Did you ever notice that the most dangerous answer is the one that sounds completely right? Not broken, not obvious, not wrong enough to question, just close enough. Today I want to talk about AI in 911 and what happens when it gets it almost right. Because in this job, almost is where things go wrong, very fast. And that's coming up next on TiPS, Today in Public Safety.
Welcome to TiPS, Today in Public Safety, your go-to podcast for today's breaking stories and public safety news. Here's your host, Fletch, with today's tips.
Welcome to TiPS, Today in Public Safety. This is Fletch. I'm a NEMA certified ENP, and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I bring you the latest, most informative, and sometimes controversial takes on emergency communications. Today, we're going to step into a little bit of dangerous territory. Not because AI is failing, but because it's working just well enough that we're trusting it. Sometimes when we shouldn't be. The new failure mode. So let me get something straight right out of the gate. AI does not fail like legacy systems. It won't drop calls, crash servers, or throw alarms. It answers. And it answers fast, clean, and confident, which is exactly the problem because failure doesn't look like failure. It looks like a perfectly reasonable answer. That just happens to be wrong. And here's the problem. If you don't catch it, the answer becomes action. Real world scenario, the almost cardiac arrest. So let's walk through this real call environment. High stress, no second chances. The caller says, "My husband, he's breathing weird, like gasping." AI transcription kicks in, and the AI classification layer starts processing the keywords. The output suggestion? Possible respiratory distress. Non-cardiac event? Likely. Why? Well, because the model weighted breathing, gasping, no explicit not breathing. So it leaned towards respiratory. But protocol says agonal breathing can be cardiac arrest until proven otherwise. So this is the problem. AI isn't wildly wrong. It's plausibly wrong. And if that suggestion influences the call taker's mental model, even just a second, you end up delaying CPR instructions, compression timing, and dispatch priority. And in a cardiac arrest, seconds equal brain cells. Confidence is the real threat. Here's where it gets a little bit uncomfortable. AI doesn't hedge. It doesn't say, I might be wrong. What it does say is, this appears to be, and that phrasing is what matters. Because in a high-stress environment, a human will default to the fastest answer, the clearest answer, and the most confident answer. So now AI isn't just assisting, although it is, it's anchoring decision-making subconsciously, even if the call taker doesn't realize it. NG911, the data fire hose problem. Now let's crank this up to NG911 because that's where things really start to break. This is where we bring in IoT sensor data, building systems, video feeds, enterprise alerts, and tons of wearables. All this data starts feeding into the PSAP. And guess who's sitting right in the middle of all of it? Yep, AI, trying to make sense of it all. And here's the issue. AI isn't just interpreting one input anymore. Now it's correlating, maybe location data, environmental signals, historical patterns, and device-generated alerts. And the problem is that if any of that data is delayed, inaccurate, or misclassified, the AI builds a narrative that may make sense but isn't true. And that's not just bad data, that becomes synthetic reality. And now your call taker is making decisions inside a story that may never have actually happened. The controversial part. Are we trusting this too fast? Let me say the quiet part out loud. We may be deploying AI into public safety faster than we understand it. The vendors are out there selling faster call handling, smarter triage, and reduced workload. Yeah, those are all good things. But here's the question I'm not sure anybody has the answer to. What happens when it's wrong? Not broken, just wrong. We have to ask where the audit trail is. Where's our confidence scoring? And how do I see it? And maybe we need a real-time challenge mechanism. Because if our answer is going to be, well, the call taker is going to catch it, then we really didn't reduce the workload. We just added invisible risk. Reality check. Yeah, AI is coming. Some will say AI is here already. It's not optional and it's not going away. Fortunately, it will improve public safety. But if you treat AI like a source of truth, I think you might have already lost control of the system. Because AI won't understand context, consequence, or what happens after the dispatch. But the human will, so be careful you don't create a mode that you can't easily detect. The bottom line, don't get me wrong here, AI is not the problem. It's blind trust that is. Because when you operate in this environment, almost right is still wrong. Sounds correct is not validation. And fast does not mean safe. So if you're going to deploy AI in 911, please design for verification, challenge, and override. Because at the end of the day, the system doesn't own the outcome. The call taker does. And let's make sure we don't forget that. That wraps up today's episode of Tips Today in Public Safety. Thanks so much for listening. For more updates and insights, follow me on social media at Fletch911. And you can visit 911tips.com for a complete archive of our previous episodes. My voluminous set of blogs are available online at Fletch.tv, and my professional website is at Fletch911.com. Stay safe. Thanks so much for listening. Remember to like and subscribe. And if you're in public safety, thanks for what you do every single day. We'll catch you next time. Take care.
You've been listening to Tips Today in Public Safety, your go-to podcast for today's breaking stories and public safety news. Hosted by Fletch and available every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Catch past episodes on 911tips.com. Be sure to like and subscribe, and remember to join us each week for the latest on NG 911. I am Spider Harrison, the official 911 voiceover dude. Catch me on Sirius XM on various channels, including 90s on 9, the 10 spot, and on the Weekend Countdown on Hits 1. Or don't regret it for the rest of your life. Either way, I'm good.